So I want to talk a little bit more about caffeine and chronic pelvic pain. Caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. What it does is it blocks your sleep receptors. It blocks your adenosine from entering your brain. So we have these little receptors in our brain, and they're receptive to adenosine, and adenosine essentially builds up on our brain. And when that builds up, we feel tired, we feel lethargic. It's essentially our body's way of telling us that it's time for us to rest. So what caffeine does is it actually goes into those receptors. You can imagine like a keyhole that's opened, and caffeine's going to be a key fitting into that keyhole. So it just kind of goes in there into that crevice where adenosine is supposed to be, and it fills up that keyhole, so it's blocking the receptors from receiving adenosine. So what you're doing is you're just essentially kicking the can down the road. Oftentimes we'll crash, oftentimes we'll have midday jitters, and what happens is typically our body will crave more and more and more caffeine, and it can be a sleep disruptor, it can be a nervous system disruptor, it can lead to adrenal fatigue. There's a whole host of issues that excessive caffeine can lead to. So with that in mind, I do think it is a good strategy to limit caffeine, or to even go one step further and just come off of caffeine altogether if you have severe chronic pelvic pain. I did that for 7 months, although it didn't result in that time with my pelvic pain ceasing. It's just a good thing to do that, because if you think about it, we want to get our body to relax, right? If our body is in a contracted state, and if we're constantly tight, and if that's sending tension to the muscles, does it really make sense to continue to stimulate and overstimulate our body and not allow our body to get the rest that it needs when it needs it? I don't think it makes sense. I think if you're suffering in any type of chronic pain, especially chronic pelvic pain, it's really an opportunity to allow your body to rest and get the best rest that you can. And if you're constantly drinking caffeine, especially later in the morning, or even, heaven forbid, later in the afternoon, the caffeine is staying in your system. It has about a 5 to 6 hour half-life, which means that have a cup of coffee at, like, let's say noon, it's gonna take 12 hours for that caffeine to get out of your system. So that means that caffeine is essentially gonna be into your system still at midnight. Well, if you're trying to get to bed at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, now you have a problem. So I would suggest coming off of it. I would suggest taking a caffeine break. There are many ways to do that. We can discuss that in other videos. With the main reason being just giving your body a chance to rest, giving your body a chance to heal. I'd rather be totally exhausted at 8:30, 9 p.m. and get a good quality 6.5, 7, 8 hours sleep, maybe even 9 hours of sleep if you can, to really give your body the chance it needs to recover when you're in a chronic pain state. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.